So that's what I would say. And that's what I put in the thing. It said, until such time, I can't. And I told David, I said, yeah, that's perfect. I can't go say, I'll take care of your trees. And then somebody else say, stay away from my trees. Yeah, so the authority.
Representative Fields, New Aid. Good news travels fast, especially in this town. I don't have one.
Cars on the north end. It's just not kind of an easy way to get there, right? Yeah, you could drive. Go back and say. Same old. That's fine. That's fine. You know, the grandkids keep everybody happy. Yeah,
Thank you again.
We're glad to hear from you. Oh, no problem.
What did you ask? Oh, to the. I got it. And so
Right. Soil still move on.
and I was like, hi, I was going in, he was going out, I congratulated him. And other than his age, I didn't hear anything. There wasn't anything. So I kind of meandered a little bit around, and then I was like, yeah.
So they're not going to do that.
I know, I'm kind of that I missed
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for coming to our community meeting. This is the discussion on Cypher Street remediation work that's being done. My name is Arthur Fritsch. I'm the community liaison for the Massachusetts Convention Center Authority. And joining us this evening is John Donahue, who's the Chief of Operations and Capital Projects for the MCCA, and Mike Cronin from Haley and Aldrich, who is the LSP for the project. John and Mike will be walking us through the update and the history and the scope of the project and our proposed plan ahead. Following the presentation, we will answer any questions you may have, or if you see something on one of the slides that you have a question about, please feel free to ask. Raise your hand, and we'll get to your question. So at this time, I'd like to have John take it over.
Thank you, Arthur. I really appreciate everybody being here tonight. Again, we're hoping that we can answer all the questions that would be raised, demonstrate the plan, let you know that we heard from the community through the last few sessions, and hopefully we can address those concerns tonight and show you that we've implemented some changes to the plan to hopefully address those concerns. One of the concerns that we heard was about tree plantings. The authority is fully in support of tree plantings. We are developing a plan to install plants on the north side of Cypher Street, engaged with our landscaper right now, talking with regards to the different species and trying to find the most hardy ones. And we'll let the development of Cypher Street play out, and we'll be in sync with that as far as the spacing of the trees and those kind of things. We want to be part of the look and not be different than the look. So we'll be back with those kind of the schedule and the plantings, but the priority right now is for the remediation and to let the project continue for the reconstruction. With regards to trucking, we heard about the alternative plan of direct trucking, and Mike will speak to that we've incorporated that into the plan and through the response from the community, and also the truck route's been defined, and we will adhere to that. I think as far as what we're hoping to present and address the previous meetings, you'll find it acceptable. I know as far as schedule, we've developed a schedule that we'd be able to start work as early as Monday next week, should we receive a favorable opinion to that. And if all goes well, it's a very short schedule. Most of the work would be done at the end of next week, if weather permits. And within the following week, we'll have most of the equipment off-site and we'll be away from the project. So that's what we're hoping for, a quick and timely little project. So I'll let Mike run through the different scenarios of or different aspects of the project and his little presentation for tonight. Thank you, and then we'll take questions.
Thank you. Hi, I'm Mike Cronin with Haley and Aldridge. I'm a licensed site professional working on behalf of Mike. Sorry, I'm used to microphones, not my thing. Mike Cronin with Haley and Aldridge. I'm the LSP for the Massachusetts Convention Center Authority, and I'll be overseeing the remediation work out here at New Cypher Street. So again, what we'll do is just have a quick review of where we're working, what it is that we're doing. As John said, some of the takeaways from the last meeting and what we're going to do to address some of your concerns. And we'll be happy to open up to any questions that you have after that. I think this will be pretty quick. I've done through this a couple times, but again, if there's questions, feel free to ask. So just to give you an idea of where we are doing our work in comparison to where Massport's doing all of their work, the blue line or purple line is the extent of the Massport work that's been ongoing. And there's a tiny little red dot up there on Cypher Street. That is us. That's the extent of where we're going to be doing our excavation to remove petroleum-contaminated soils. It's about a 375 square foot excavation that's going to be going down approximately 15 feet below the ground surface. Just to kind of zoom in on that a little bit. Again, the approximate release of the petroleum that we identified is shown in that red box. It's located within the Cypher Street property, and then the soil to be removed is again that blue box, just a smaller area. The contractor's plan is to come in with an excavation support system, dig the soils out, haul it off without stockpiling, and dispose of it, and then backfill it. And I'll run through a little bit more of a detailed schedule in a moment. So some of the key takeaways from the December meeting is moving the soil via truck rather than rail to try to expedite this process. You know, we want to be out of your way as quickly as possible. One of the others was clarifying the MCCA's position on the tree planting, which I believe John has just done. So I'm going to be focusing more on our evaluation of trucking versus rail and how we can expedite this project. So we we compared both trucking and rail. And for the most part, a lot of it is very similar, with the exception of the duration of mass excavation and hauling, as shown up here. Using a rail, it can be anywhere from 2 to 5 days of excavation and hauling. And that's really because you have to line up what's called a gondola car at the rail station to be able to load your trucks of soil into the rail car to get them off site. So the quickest we could possibly do it if all the stars aligned was 2 days, more likely to be a 5-day process. The risks that we had with that are really related to Gonda availability, which could push it to the further 5 days, and the weather. Weather's always going to be a factor. So we compared that to the trucking, which it's easier to line up trucks for that, and we think we can do this in 2 or 3 days. We're hoping to get it done in 2, but we're planning for 3 at this point. Our risks are limited down to just really the weather. You know, that can impact us, slows excavation, slows hauling. It does cost a little bit more, but I think the benefit is worth the extra cost to be able to get off of New Cypher Street and get out of everyone's way. So after that evaluation, we did select trucking, and that's the route we're going to take. I'll just show you a little bit more of the layout of the excavation and the site, and then I'll run through an overall schedule. So this is showing how we're going to be accessing and exiting the site. See if I can get a pointer on there so I don't lose my microphone. So trucks will be entering the site from the haul road, taking a right onto Cypher Street, and turning around in the West Service Road. So they'll be pulling into West Service Road and then backing onto a wheel wash station here. All right, the truck will then be covered with poly on the side so that while we're doing the excavation and loading into the truck, any soil that may spill from the excavator bucket into the truck is contained on that poly and go back into the excavation. The soil gets loaded into the truck gets covered, the wheels get washed, the truck leaves off of the wheel wash and is going to take a left onto the haul road. We understand this is a big concern. McCourt, the contractor, is going to have someone directing traffic out there. The MCCA has committed to having a person out there to make sure people are taking a left out of there. And Haley and Aldridge is going to have a person out there to make sure everyone's sticking to the plan. It's important to us that we do this in a short duration and do it the right way. There will be construction dewatering going on. So you see a construction dewatering sedimentation tank load shown on the plan. That's on the opposite side of the excavation from where the excavator will be sitting. That will be pumping groundwater to a catch basin located at the intersection of the Hall Road and Cypher Street, which discharges to the 4-point channel. That is being done under a permit that's been issued by the Environmental Protection Agency, and there will be sampling to verify that the discharge is meeting the effluent requirements. So the last time we met, the plan was to backfill this excavation when the excavation is done with flowable fill all the way to the ground surface. We received a request from Massport to only backfill with flowable fill to 6 feet below the ground surface and then put in 6 feet of gravel on top of the flow fill. My understanding is that is to allow for their future plans, which may include a tree well at this location, or to bring a utility through, whatever work that they need to do. They just do not want to have that flowable fill there.
Excuse me.
Yes.
Why do you concern yourself with Massport? This is your property.
Well, Massport is redoing this, and we do not want to interfere with
This is where we got
their
in trouble before. With this guy here gave away your property to Massport to open up Cypher Street to them. Why? What concern of yours is Massport and what you do to your property?
Well, this remediation isn't going to...
This is your remediation.
It is.
Your project, your property.
Yep.
Why are you letting them dictate to you what you do to your property?
Our original plan was to leave 5 feet of soil as backfill here, and we changed it to be 6 feet or full flow fill. And now we've gone back to this at Massport's request. We don't believe this impacts our remediation whatsoever or our plans at all. This is not going to result in any additional contamination on the Massport, or sorry, the MCCA property.
It's not my question. That's not my question. My question is, why are you letting Massport dictate to you what you to do on your property, on your project? You think that you could go down to Massport's property on the waterfront, or on the airport, or on Black Falcon Terminal, or on Conley Terminal, and tell them what to do, what they're doing down there? Do you think they'd allow you to do that? Answer that question.
I'm not in that position to answer that question.
You're not. Well, I can answer it for you.
Okay.
Okay? And that's a simple no. Mind your effing business. So why are you letting them tell you what to do down there? You already screwed us already by giving them the extension. All right?
So this remediation is...
You do what you want to do down there. And tell them, you already got enough out of you.
Thank you. This is... Yeah, okay, I'm sorry. Yes, Tom.
Mark, is the cap going to be restored here? It's not clear. Right?
So Massport is placing an asphalt... The cap is going to be the asphalt surface when Massport is done. So if there's asphalt that goes over here as part of their plans, that will become the cap. If there's a tree well that's here, EPA has already approved tree wells in the area of the EM1 cap. So I can't say exactly what their plans are to finish this surface, but it will be in accordance with the activity and use limitation and the TSCA regulations.
This is off Cypher Street. Their project is on Cypher Street, right? This is off Cypher Street, correct?
No, this is within Cypher Street, within the MCCA's property.
This is in the first travel lane.
This is off Cypher Street.
No, sir, it's in the travel lane.
In the travel lane. That's not what you showed us on the picture.
It extends to the sidewalk area. But
on the sidewalk.
Yes.
It extends through the travel lane to the sidewalk area.
With the planting in the planting area.
Well, we assume the sidewalk, which will house plantings and light poles and other
Bike lane and the
Yes.
the tree planting and
Yes.
pedestrian walkway.
But, and I don't want to speak for Michael, but the flow fill is a lightweight concrete, which will act as a barrier, and the gravel would be clean materials above that so that they can work within that material, whatever the work that they have to do in the future.
So I will just run through quickly the conceptual schedule that we're looking at so you get an idea of the overall duration. So we're looking at...
Mike,
Yes.
can you just go back to the picture? I just want to help clarify where Tom was talking about replacing the cap. We just want just to clarify for everybody, kind of the whole vertical area that you're digging up. I mean, that's basically what you've got 15 feet of clean soil.
That is correct. There'll be 15 feet of material
clean
placed back.
soil of which I don't think there's any PCB contaminated. The PCB contamination never even went that deep. So you really do have 15 feet of clean soil in where the NCCA is doing it.
Thank you.
That first clip you showed us, right? That was on the corner of the parking lot, correct? Of your parking lot, on the corner of Cypher in the Hollow almost. Yeah.
This here?
That the soil to be moved.
Right.
Is that what you're talking about now? And now you're talking about somewhere up here, down to the east?
No, it's about where it is.
It's right here.
It's blue area.
As I said, it's
That's what you're talking about.
Yes.
right there, which is on the edge of the road.
You're confusing us. You're talking. You're flipping the pages around here on us. But I'm looking at as you go on. It looks like you got it backwards.
No, again, basically Michael showed you this, and then he showed you the red box without the rest of this in the slides. So he's just zooming in on this to show you the.
Right.
As he said, the trucks will pull in here and back in here.
The close-up view of the drawing is about that area right in there, is what that's showing. If I go back to that. can see the curvature to the road over in here, the West Service Road, and then the Hall Road is up here. Does that make sense?
Still looks backwards to me. I don't know about you.
Yes, this time.
This is the parking lot. That's the driveway entrance. This is Cypher Street.
I got you know.
So I had a question around where the trucks stage. So I see where they're going to load. They're going to load right there, right? I assume there'll be multiple trucks there at the start of the morning, or?
Yeah, and we'll stage them. What is continuing into what is our loading dock extension?
Okay, whatever the name of that road is there. Yeah.
Right. Well, the West Service Road, and then we have the property that abuts the railroad property.
Yep.
Currently, there's a couple of storage boxes in there. They'll stage in there, and again, anticipating 2 or 3 trucks in queue at a time. So one will be getting loaded, one might be in the queue to back in when the other one pulls out, and the third one would be in the, let's call it the railroad yard.
Yeah.
But as I said, they'll all be on our property.
So just back to the schedule, kind of a bigger picture of what we're planning to do here. The first day that we are out there, we'll be setting up the site itself. We'll be setting up a decontamination station, wheel wash station, where the trucks will drive onto. Setting up the dewatering system and mobilizing the excavation support system to the site, which is really just a 4-sided, what's called a slide rail system. It's 4 posts with rails that'll slide down to support the side walls of the excavation. The next 2 to 3 days, so days 2 to 4, will essentially be the mass excavation and off-site disposal of the soil. During that, they'll be doing construction dewatering and discharging that to the storm drain, installing the excavation support system, and getting rid of the soil. The contractor's hoping for 2 days, but we're planning on 3. After that, days 5 and 6 will be backfilling the excavation with flowable fill to about 6 feet below grade. Once again, McCord is hoping to be able to do it in 1 day, but it may run into 2 days. It's 12 trucks that will need to come in with flowable fill to backfill the excavation. We'll let that set overnight, and the following day, day 7, we'll backfill with gravel to match the surrounding ground surface. At that point, the dewatering system will be decontaminated. In other words, it'll be washed down and washed into the truck wash. The truck wash will then be loaded into the final truck that'll show up on site to take the last remaining materials off site and haul that for disposal. And then on the 8th day, we will be demobilizing all of the equipment from the site. Again, sometimes dewatering equipment is rented. It may take the owner of the dewatering equipment another couple of days to come and pick up their materials, so it may extend. That deep equipment may be there up until the end of next week, or, sorry, up to 10 days. But the plan is to try to get it off as soon as possible.
Where's the contaminated soil going?
It's going to a place in Michigan. It's owned by U.S. Ecology. It's a place that can accept this kind of material.
Does it have to go through the hall? Does it have to go to the Hall Road south?
They're going to go south from the Hall Road to get on the Mass Pike.
Does it have to go to? Does it have to go south? Does it have? Can it go any other way?
Well, we've been requested to only send trucks to the south coming out of New Cypher Street, and that's what we're planning on doing.
Who requested that?
The last meeting we heard, could they just come out and go left down the bypass? At the last meeting, it was.
Were you here?
I was here, yeah.
You were here.
Yes, sir.
Go in and see it.
I was here.
Yeah, you were the first time you were here. I don't understand why you want to run it through South Boston. That's been the biggest problem with this project since the start, is that we didn't want to use the Hall Road for any of this truck travel, And there you go. You want to send the most contaminated waste right through the heart of South Boston.
We originally had them going right and entering the turnpike up underneath and we were requested to change it and use the same route that the
The
previous.
money up there don't want it. They don't want it to go up there. The money don't want it to go up there.
Can you say who requested that change? Was it?
I can't say who specifically, but it was at the last.
It was the same route that Massport was using.
It is the same route that Massport was using.
So,
Okay.
so
So
I
that
think-
was agreed to before?
well, we just, I think in the meeting, it was kind of talked about just replicate as much as Massport as you can, because that seems to be going smooth.
Oh, wastewater. The storm drain, you said it would be, can you explain that to me, the water went to the storm drain?
Yes, so
What storm drain? And the city storm drain, or is it a?
it's owned by Mass DOT, the storm drain, and it discharges to the four-point channel. And the US EPA issues a permit, if you apply for it, that allows you to discharge water into the storm drain.
Contaminated water?
It gets treated before it's discharged, so it'll be going into a sedimentation tank to remove the sediment, and then through what's called bag filters to remove even more sediment, so that the water that comes out will meet a discharge criteria that is established by the EPA. So it's gotta, we can't put dirty water into the four-point channel,
Thank you for that.
and we will be testing it.
Shit Creek, you mean, right?
I'm sorry.
Shit Creek. Oh, that's what they call it.
Other questions?
Yeah, that's storm drain. So it's the Department of Transportation?
Yes.
It's Commonwealth.
Yes, we've got a permit from them as well. Tom, did you have a question?
Yeah, can you comment about dust monitoring?
Oh, yeah, thank you for reminding me. So we are doing a dust monitoring program, the exact same dust monitoring program that, or very similar anyways to what Massport is doing. So we're actually using their same enclosures that are on A Street, Flaherty, and, oh gosh, why am I blanking on the last park?
Mahoney.
Thank you, Mahoney Park. We're using the same three enclosures that they have, putting our dust monitors in there with the sampling ports that are on the same location. And we'll be setting up an online system as well that will be reporting with Eileen about the dust results that we get. And we're also going to have dust monitors on site, one upwind and downwind of the excavation. It's a very small site, so they're going to be essentially just right there. So we'll be monitoring what's happening in the close proximity to the excavation, as well as the three parks that are around town.
Trucks will be enclosed.
I'm sorry?
Trucks will be enclosed.
The trucks, yes, they have to be covered before they leave the site.
And Mike, you had told me that you expected the dust monitors to be the remote monitors, the park ones, that you're going to be being able to run them tomorrow.
Yep, that's the plan. I haven't heard from Justin today, but I know he was working with Massport today, getting access to all the things today and yesterday to get all those dust monitors installed. They should be in and ready to run right now. Tomorrow we'll test them.
I wanted to explain petroleum to us. You refer to this as the petroleum removal. That's the first time I've heard to this site is petroleum removal. I know it's there. I've never heard it called petroleum.
Oh, it's
So give us a breakdown of the petroleum.
Yeah, sorry. So that's what we had done on one of the first meetings, and I'm sorry if you weren't able to attend that one. But back in 2015 or 16, we encountered a high level of petroleum in here at a level that needs to be removed at the location that we're excavating out. It's a historic petroleum, like a similar to, say, a number 6 fuel oil, if you know what that is. It's a heavyweight, thick, viscous fuel oil. Similar to that.
Motor oil.
Presumably there for a long time. For at least 50 years, back in the days of when this was the SAC recycling site, probably even prior to that, the railroad operations. There is contamination like that in this general vicinity. So what we're doing is removing the concentrations that need to be removed to meet regulations and to be able to close this out under the state regs.
So that's the complete petroleum, that's the complete contamination is simply petroleum. There's no other PCBs, there's no other contaminants involved.
There's still PCBs at the site.
No asbestos, there's no airborne, contaminants involved. It's simply petroleum.
There are PCBs in the soil, similar to what we found in the past. This is good. We are managing
Let's
this.
hear about them then. Don't bury it as a petroleum. Let's talk about what you're removing there.
Well, the objective is to remove the heavily impacted petroleum. It is removing PCBs at the same time.
Well,
That's
tell us
not
about
the
it.
aim.
Don't bury it. Don't hide it. Tell us about it.
It's associated with the PCBs are associated with the historic recycling facility that was there, for which
Some
the
people, they don't know about that.
MCCA did a remediation back in 2017 in the south parking lot and portions of Cypher Street to again remove the highest concentrations of those PCBs.
So if you're asking, as far as the procedures that Mike has outlined and that the project will be conducted under, it is to the most stringent parameters as if it was a removal of PCBs. This soil is getting treated as 100% PCBs, even though it isn't, and being sent to Michigan because that's...
There's 1% PC. I want to know about it.
That's correct. So that's what I'm stating to you is...
My kids were contaminated.
It's being
At
treated...
that site.
It's being treated as a PCB removal, but the reason that we're excavating is because of the petroleum concentration.
My kids were affected by that site. Okay, I want to know about it. I got grandkids that live a block away now. Okay? I want to know what's going on.
And hopefully,
I want to know what you're moving.
hopefully, as I said, the care and the procedures that are in place right now are the most stringent.
Typical state agency. You can ask anything you want.
Yeah, I'd like to ask a question.
Is there any plan to remove all of the rest of the PCBs?
Yeah, that's my question. Is this it? Is this your one and done?
Is there a plan to remove all of the PCBs in the area in the near future or in the future at all? I mean,
There is no plan. The EPA policy that we're living under for that location has the EM1 cap, and that is the plan that the EPA has approved to say the best methodology is to have it sedentary and under a cap. If in the future there was additional development or any of those kind of things that had to be done, it would be dealt with at that time.
Oh, I know that when the racetrack was going, the Grand Prix, that was one of the things that stopped them was that they found that road, Cypher Street, was full of them, and that they were planning on digging it up to make roads, for the race, and they couldn't do it.
Well, it's not that they couldn't do it, but the cost and such is the same. So because of this project is being required of the authority to remove that material because it contains high levels of petroleum, but because there is PCB levels in the soil, we have to treat it as PCB material that's being removed. So that the procedures are PCB-related procedures, high stringent safety kind of procedures. So the same, the Grand Prix and such, if they were doing it, any of the digging that they would have had to do would have had to been done under those PCB kind of stringent requirements, and they just found it too expensive to do that work. So
I ride my bike down that street.
So again, the EPA, that's what the mandate of the cap to protect the public is that protective layer that is supposed to provide a layer of assurance that it's safe and can be used for the uses of roadway, pedestrian way, all of those kind of things.
So about a piece of property that's on the Mass Convention Center site, that's not on Cypher Street, isn't this?
Maybe you could share the slide, because Ella came in a little late.
I came in
Oh,
late.
I'm sorry.
And then I'll...
It's on Cypher Street and on the edge of the roadway and what will be the future sidewalk area, I guess. So the blue
This is the
dot.
parking lot.
Yeah.
Here's the
Oh,
parking
it's
lot.
on the street, on the...
The bypass road is at the top of the screen. The bypass road is at the top.
Yeah.
Here's our back driveway to the Convention Authority, the parking lot area. And the blue dot is
Oh, okay.
the digging area.
Oh, okay, so it's on Cypher Street.
Right on the edge of where the Jersey barriers used to be and such, right in that area.
Yeah. So I guess I'm confused. I don't know. Why are you doing it? Why is the convention center doing it?
Again, I'm sorry, I don't know where
I'm
you
sorry.
came in.
My apologies.
No, that's okay. But as Michael said, when we were doing previous studies out there, we found the petroleum.
Okay.
He's almost like a healthcare provider. He's mandated to report it
Right.
once we find those levels. They found the levels of petroleum that had to be reported. We reported them to Mass DEP. Mass DEP said you must remove them because they're in concentrations of such a level. So
Can I interrupt for 1 second? Ellie is the head of the Citizens Association, Lower End Association. Can you tell her what Massport told you, what they wanted you to do on your property and not to do?
So
she missed that part.
okay, so
Listen to this one.
and I'll just speak. The plan is, again, the cap, the asphalt cap and such. We have to break that to dig.
Right.
So the plan is to put back what's called a flowable fill, which is like a lightweight concrete.
Right.
To again put that protective layer back.
Right.
So we have 15 feet of excavation or so. We've been asked when we put that fill, we were going to bring it right up to just underside the road surface or the
Right.
concrete surface. So, but now we've been asked, because of the work that is going along to create the sidewalks or the future tree beds and those kind of things, to hold the flowable fill down 6 feet and put gravel, which can be dug to put either conduits or
Whether it's gravel or flowable fill, it's still 15 feet of clean soil that's going to be put back in, or clean material that's going to be put back into that excavation.
My question to Michael, did your studies uncover any USTs?
No, they did not.
I don't know what UST's are.
Underground storage tank is what he's referring to. If there was because I think what he's asking is, were there any underground storage tanks that might have been leaking and causing this, and we did not find any. Yes.
I do have a couple questions for Mr. Donahue. But I understand you found an epiphany in the plan on how to move this stuff right out of here instead of hanging around and dance with Worcester.
Yes, we have committed to hauling this by truck. We had put up a schedule earlier, which...
No, you don't need to do that. I just remember the last call, it was like impossible. It was like the parting of the Red Sea that only the Lord himself could provide. And now, appreciate, thanks to January 6th, you found the epiphany. But we don't appreciate how this has gone. This is years in the making. I'd like to ask you, Mr. Donahue, with your $26 million budget,
Yes, sir.
how much have you spent on green space this last fiscal year in and around the convention center?
Thank you.
I couldn't.
We're going to have an oversight hearing on that, so you should be prepared.
I couldn't have a dollar amount assessed to it. As far as what is currently created, we maintain that to the best of our ability.
No, the commercial business that you have in the Lawn on D maintains that to the best of your ability. So outside of the Lawn on D, which is 80% commercial use that your division had built, and nothing in however many years you've been down there, how many years have you been at the convention center?
Myself?
Yes.
Since 1999.
Right. And you've seen the perimeter because it's the facility that you maintain. No green space around any other part of the facility. Correct?
I would say that it's been discussed and we...
So $26 million budget, subsidized by the taxpayers. Would you put $1,000 on it outside of the Lawn on D that gets paid for by 80% commercial use?
Again, I couldn't
Not
attribute
much.
any dollars.
Not much?
Again, we've had multiple discussions about...
But how much money have you spent out of the $26 million budget? Not much? 1%? Less than 1%?
I said I couldn't put any
Well,
figure to it.
the request is public here, and to the team, a public request. How much in the dollar value have you spent on green space? And we know that you sent a letter that was as dancy as the last conversation you had with Massport, still fighting on trees being put in. I have the letter, so we can talk about that if you want to dispute that and not know what you said. But right now, we still don't have a commitment and agreement from you and the Convention Center Authority to agree to put trees in on Cypher Street on your side and for them to be maintained. $26 million budget?
Senator, I addressed that in my initial remarks. I said that the authority was developing a plan to put...
No. I got your letter. That was days ago, my friends. You can say whatever you want here, and we'll make sure that it gets published if that's what we need to do, so we're not doing the he said, she said.
Yeah, and my letter, I didn't state anything, any opposition to trees.
No, you said you made no commitments on the establishment of trees on Cypher Street on your part in the maintenance center. You had this same thing about confusion. There's no confusion. You haven't committed to that, and you still won't.
I did publicly tonight.
So why the letter to Massport in writing? You didn't do that.
I didn't object or state any opposition to putting trees on Cypher Street.
There's a reason the plan hasn't moved forward. And there's a reason Massport isn't able to go forward with that plan on both sides of the street, because you haven't agreed. So you're basically disingenuous again
That's
to the
not
community
factual,
here.
Senator.
It is.
It's not.
The letter's here. I have the letter.
Read the letter.
Yeah.
It does not say, it says I support.
No, you support green space. And you want
I
the
said I
parties-
support their plan.
No, they say otherwise, and I have the letter here. So
read the letter.
Yeah, I will read the letter. About your confusion. So you just say here opposition, so I want to say, Dear Nui, I'm writing to note to clarify what appears to be a miscommunication, proposed tree plantings that are part of Massport's reconstruction in Cypher Street project. From our meeting November 20th, please note the MCCA's intent was never to oppose any tree plantings, which they still don't have agreement on. Our only question was surrounding the methods used proposed installation. So what's the concern about Massport's methods used? This agency, by the way, went to the Boston Conservation Commission, right, anyone's knowledge, and thank you for the clarification, Arthur, for letting us know that, because nobody else did. Along with the other agency, who then gave a mea culpa, and said, yeah, we are going to, so this plan was approved with MCCA and Massport going to the city, and approved by Boston Pick without trees in there, because it was so horrible to do that. I guess why?
Again, I didn't have anything to do with the development of the plan.
This is your street that you allowed to have taken over with. No, so you had nothing to do with it.
Again, I had nothing to do with the design development of the project.
It had nothing to do with this project. It was your street. You knew nothing about it.
The design. I had nothing to do with the design.
Nothing. But then when the opposition came for the proposal, and we addressed this last meeting, based off of what? Because it was the first you heard about it?
Again, all I asked was, could I see the plans on how they were going to put the plantings in? Because we had a concern about where the cap was going to lie and the protective barrier between the soil.
Or is it you didn't want to maintain anything? Because you don't now. You don't spend a dime on green space.
As I said, I committed to the authority is going to put trees and all kinds of shrubbery and everything on the north side once we get a plan developed and bring it to the community. We're going to match the look of whatever's been approved by Massport so that it looks like a cohesive left and right side.
That's not what's in this letter. It says you withdrew opposition, which now you said last time you weren't opposed.
I wasn't opposed.
Then why would you be withdrawing opposition?
As you said, my letter...
I don't know who you are. Who are you?
It's immaterial. My letter...
Who are you, sir? Can you please state your name?
Indra works for me.
Okay, so you're part of this whole thing. No green space investment. That's something you're proud of? You shouldn't be. Yeah, $26 million subsidized by the taxpayers. No green space in this community. Look at this facility. You've been here for 20 years. It's a disgrace outside of the place. And then you took what was green space for the community, which was 50-50 at the lawn on D, and you crushed it to 20%. You shouldn't be proud of that. So, you withdrew opposition.
I didn't withdraw it. If you read it,
I read it, and you say at the end, I will now withdraw my opposition. So there you have it. You can't have it both ways.
I started the letter with clarification that I was never opposed.
You can't have it both ways.
Did I not state that I was never opposed?
Well, you stated then in your letter, I want to clarify that I was never opposed. So now I'm going to withdraw my opposition. I mean, I don't know what kind of schizophrenia you have, but I mean, in the letter it says you weren't opposed and you were opposed. So you're going to have to see somebody about that. But what we're not going to stand for anymore is lack of oversight with your capital division. Because you're the only agency at the convention center, the department, that is fully subsidized by the taxpayers. And what we have right now is an apple for an orchard for the community. But there's actually really no orchard because there's no green space. As I say, your facility looks like it's on Saturn with no vegetation. With what the industrial nature of which you use, trucks coming through the community, and why this plan needed to be cut in half. And thank you, Arthur, for pushing them on this, because you wanted trucks running through this town for 3 more weeks than was necessary. And that's what would have happened. You can smile all you want. You can continue to smile. And you're going to smile at the oversight hearing, too, I hope. When you're asked all these questions in front of a forum where you can't smirk that way. Because you're going to be very uncomfortable with the questions that we ask, based off of the requests we're going to be making for your spending. I hope you're prepared for that. So I would like to see your plan before this goes forward, and you start digging things up. We want to see your plan for Cypher Street that you say is going to be wonderful and beautified. Because I don't believe that you need to lift this cap. We're certainly not going to support you doing that, opening this cap out without a confirmed plan that you're going to commit to in writing before anything happens. So I hope we schedule another meeting with your plan, because apparently you've made an open-ended commitment, and we want to see the beauty of what you just described that's coming next.
This is our plan.
Well, you don't have a plan. You say there's going to be a plan. So we want to see the plan before you move forward and open the street up. And that's what we're going to do. If not, then we're going to take this to another level. So we're here because we don't trust what's gone on so far, and I think this has been articulated enough, and your budget shows that there's nothing to lean on here. With respect to trust us, we're going to invest in green space. We haven't done it yet, but trust us. No, we don't. So we want to see your plan at the next meeting here, where you talk about how you're going to have the Garden of Eden down there on Cypher Street when you have never done it before. And then we'll say, okay, we feel comfortable with this proposal. Because right now we don't.
Well, again, I can present it as soon as it's developed.
So I hope they get
I can commit in writing as soon as possible, whatever you...
No, we want to see the plan.
I understand, but again, this is just in development now.
I know. Well, then you're going to hold on to this plan until your plan's developed. The second half of it. I mean, why would you come to this community without a plan? Oh, we need to take this street and the petroleum here and we got to kind of hang around for a few more weeks because Worcester's not as efficient as we'd hoped, even though everybody else trucks this stuff out of here. So, because you don't want to go to the legislature to get over $1 million. Because Chapter 138 of the Acts of 1991, you can look that up. You can't spend more than $1 million on capital investment unless you go to the legislature, which is why you're hovering under $999,000. Yeah.
It was a public bid.
Yeah. You guys are nibbling around the edges for a reason. So we want to see your green space plan. Now tell us finally you had the epiphany that you want to withdraw your opposition because it's nonsensical. We want to see your green space plan, and we want to see that before this goes forward any further. Because I'm not supporting it, and the community's not supporting it. And you've had 20 years. This isn't. God didn't put this thing underneath. people who have an interest in environmental terrorism didn't all of a sudden drive petroleum into the street. This has been here for a very long time. So now all of a sudden you're coming around a green space on Cypher Street without a plan, and you want us to trust you. It's not happening. So I hope we can schedule another meeting, and your designers, who hopefully are going to make this their top priority, and put together this beautiful landscape for us that we can say, okay, now we know you're serious. Because right now, we have nothing to ride on, other than a duplicitous letter. So hope we can schedule a meeting in the next couple weeks. You get some wonderful landscape architects. There's one on Broadway, one at Lawson. There's a zillion of them in the city. I'm sure you could get moving on fast if you so prioritize it. But this to me, apple for an orchard, and an orchard on Saturn.
Will we begin our work right away?
Thank you.
In the landscaping plan, can you remove the dragon while you're at it? The dragon on the
Yeah, I mean, when did your department authorize that? And why would you do that? I know it's the year of the dragon, so maybe this is the only year you should have it up. But I don't understand why you spent money on that. You need a capital investment on that and no capital investment on green space in the community.
I couldn't tell you other than it was a procurement for public art.
I'm there. I just want to touch on what Nick said. You stroked my memory big time, Nick, because I was present the night Raphael Vinoli was presented the design for the convention center. He was the designer. I don't know if you know that. You can sit up there with your condescending smile on your face all you want, but you're not fooling the people that have been here since before you were here, before the convention center was here. And I'll just quote Jimmy Kelly, and he said to Raphael Vinoli, like I'll say to you, looks like a goddamn aircraft hangar. And it still looks like a goddamn aircraft hangar to this day. So do something about it. Nick said. Green space. Do something about it.
We're perfectly willing to come before you.
It's like an aircraft hangar.
With
Well,
vegetation.
back during that design time, the rear egress, or the rear of the convention center was supposed to mirror the front. And that has not happened. That's basic. It is what it is. It's a convention center. It's an industrial building. But some beautification in 20 years, especially with this economy, I mean,
I hear you completely. And again,
it's
but
not,
so why
it's
nothing
not
this whole
creative
time?
community, really. It's
Well,
not.
why nothing? I mean, it's not like you didn't have any dough. You had a treasure trove subsidized by taxpayers. Why haven't you invested in green space in 20 years? Honestly.
again, I know it's been discussed many, many times. Why it never came to fruition, I'm not the one to speak for it.
Aren't you in charge of the capital projects division?
As they're brought to me, sir, I'm supposed to develop them and bring them forward.
So who brought the dragon?
It was a public art request. It wasn't.
Like,
By
who
who?
decided that was...
Who made the public art request? That wanted the dragon on the lawn?
In true transparency, he was the executive director at the time.
So he wanted to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on a dragon and nothing on green space.
I can't speak to that.
I mean,
We should send it to, where does he live? Salem? It might be, give it to him as a party gift. Whatever.
I mean, you can understand why people think that's nuts, right?
Again,
Capital projects, your shop. You can understand why people think it's a little nutty. You get concrete dragon, no green space, you're beefing with Massport on trees, you withdraw our opposition, you have no plan, we're supposed to believe you're committed, there's nothing in your capital budget. You can understand why people don't really think this adds up.
again, I hear you loud and clear.
So, I'm mystified by your demeanor, frankly.
No,
No, I don't mean any disrespect, but you just seem like you don't really care.
I do care.
It doesn't come across that way.
Well, I'm sorry. I do
It
care.
doesn't come across that way at all.
If I could put trees out there tomorrow, I'd do it for you. I just have to develop a plan.
I know, but
and
what
put
about
forward.
for 20 years? You said even in
For
1999. You were here when I was in high school. I think I was in junior high school at that point. And there hasn't been any commitment to green space around the whole place. I know in the previous administration with the law and D together, and it was 50-50, and now it's 20-80, or 80-20. So it's really not for the public. It's for commercialization. And you know what? I'm a business guy. I appreciate that. But the rest of the place, no trees. Fort Point has been staring at your trucks for that whole time. No separation from that. I mean, I just don't see how you expect them to think you're good neighbors with that whole exercise. And then this particularly, which we're turning into a truck road. And this opposition, it makes you look like you absolutely have no interest in it. Until now, you know, we have an epiphany. So I don't see how we're supposed to take this at face value, which is now, again, why we're going to have an oversight here. Because we got to get to the bottom of the spending and why. It doesn't make no sense that you have no expenditures in that area. But you have a dragon. Are you proud of that dragon? No, exactly. You're not proud of it either. So that's what we don't understand. People who work there ain't proud of it.
I was not here when that occurred.
Yeah, okay. Would you have done that on the green space if you were here? Probably not. Yeah, thank you. The first honest thing said tonight. Appreciate it.
Significance of it.
I don't know. I wish I knew. I wish I knew what the significance of the artwork, if you want to call it that. What it was.
Again, I'm not.
And like, you know, again.
I'm not a proponent or
You know what it says to me? Stay off my lawn. That's what
I don't
it says to
understand
me.
it myself.
Stay off my lawn. You know, it's.
Again, I don't understand it. In true honesty, I don't understand the significance. You'd have to talk to the artist that developed it.
I'm good, thank you. As long as it goes, I really don't care. And that whatever goes back there, there's a committee. Because we have a whole, well, we have a lot of artists in this neighborhood. And I'm sure that, you know.
You know what discussed for that area? And I was on the IAG for the convention center. It was a skating area, pedestrian skating area for that where the lawn D is, and a lot of youth activity areas were planned for that. And that all went out the window, you know. So I mean, whatever, you know, just
disappointed.
They're all dead now. Everyone's dead now. So aren't the plans.
Well, not my kids, and there's a lot of kids in this town. And so that's what we're talking about here, too. The residents who live down here and the people who have a right. If you don't mind me asking, where do you live, John?
I grew up in Brighton.
Yeah, and where do you live now? Okay. They have green space around there. Pretty nice, actually. And Brighton does, too. And if an institution in Brighton didn't play ball and give some green space like they did at, I mean, you look at the New Balance facility. The New Balance facility is giving a ton with their basketball and their hockey to the kids and the people of Brighton for utilization. That's not an apple for an orchard. We're going to do something big here, and we want you to benefit from that too. That's not the image here. We're going to change that because the people of Brighton deserve that, and so do the people of this town.
I'm in agreement with you.
Well, we need to see some action because you have the power to do it. A big budget too.
So as next actions, we'll develop the green space, we'll call a meeting, and we'll bring it back to you?
Please.
Yeah.
With regards to this plan, as far as the monitoring and such that we put in place, we'll hold down on that?
Well, we don't want you to open up the street until we have the green space plan. So we know what we're getting into entirely. Not, we gladly pay you Tuesday for a hamburger today. Doing like cartoons.
My name's Dave Silk. I started here 13 months ago. I can't speak to the to the history here, and I'm not a South Boston native. All we can do, or all I can do, is promise to go forward and develop a plan. If we can have some direction, what the process should be for you to see the plan and how soon we can do it, just if we can get a little bit of direction to try and put a plan, to get a plan together. We'll hire a landscape architect. We'll do all the things to do that. If you can just help us figure out the best way to work with us to get a plan in place and bring it to you and get some approval and get input so that we're not just doing it blindly. We want input and we want help.
That's great. I appreciate that, Dave. What I'd ask is, while this corridor is riveting our attention right now, you do that, which should be easy enough given the consumption of back and forth dialogue with Massport and everybody else. What you weren't comfortable with must be finally at a place where you can be comfortable with tonight, which we've discussed on Cypher Street. And I'm not going to speak for anyone in Fort Point because they're here tonight as well, but I think we should be looking at what are we going to do? What are we going to commit to down the Hall Road? Because all the folks in Fort Point are staring at the rear end of your trucks.
Thank you.
And that's got to be part of this discussion. It's not, hey, we're going to have a conversation about lunch. No, we want to have a conversation about diet for the whole year with respect to green space in and around the convention center.
With respect to the Dragon, I can tell you, I can tell you unequivocally. Is that a word?
Yes.
Unequivocally.
Yeah. Brass is at an all-time high.
I can tell you for sure. Your concerns have been heard.
So Dave, if you need help around what it is we're kind of looking for, we've got other planting plans from other developments that kind of tell you what trees are going where and all of that. Right, we got that. That's available. And I think the rub really is the MOU. So who's responsible to put these things in the ground? Who's responsible to maintain them over time? And if they die, who's responsible to replace them? It's kind of that kind of basic stuff.
And as I stated to you earlier, Tom, the authority will take on all of those responsibilities.
I get that. I think the point is we're after the certainty of it being written down on a piece of paper that everybody agrees to. Not a conversation.
I hear you.
Right? And that's kind of what
That's what Dave was talking about.
Yep. So willing to help you with that, but right, it's still not clear to us who's responsible to put that together. Is it your team? Is it the Massport team? Or somehow the city of Boston has something to do with it here because at some point they're going to take the road over. It's just not clear to us. There's three cooks in the kitchen and nobody's making dinner here, right?
Absolutely. And this is why you have meetings ahead of time. Tom, because now we're chasing a solution. We're doing a back and forth here that we should have done a year ago or two. Not we'll get the permits and approvals and then scramble to try to put something together. So, I hope that with Tom's help and some others that you can really meet the needs that are clearly here. I mean, it's not like you're adding stuff. You're really starting from scratch. And that's the challenge there. But if it's not in writing to this point on Cypher Street, then it's like any other piece of green space. If it doesn't get maintained, you can spend the same dollars on the front. It's going to turn into garbage. But I really want to see something for mitigation along the Hall Road and abutting Fort Point. They've dealt with that long enough. I know it was brought up earlier, but it has to be part of the conversation, not just Cypher Street.
Since you're going to hire a landscape architect firm too, Sasaki, S-A-S-A-K-I, they've done a lot of planning around our parks in the area, along A Street.
Let's not propose anybody right now. Let's get discussions going first instead of proposing any landscaping right now.
They're the
We need an
architects.
agreement.
They provide
The planners, yeah.
We can get an agreement. We need an agreement first.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
then I know who you're talking about. They do good work.
Yep. Done a lot of work.
So we need an agreement, a memorandum of agreement or understanding, and
Sorry, not allergic.
Cops for a horse.
Just so we're not playing the guessing game, we want to get this right. Would a plan in the immediate or that landscaping on Cypher Street be enough to move forward with this project once?
No.
Or the whole campus, Nick?
Yeah.
Keys the MOU, right? The problem has always been the MOU, right? There's a planting plan that Massport has already developed that you guys probably want to augment, it sounds like.
Cypher Street.
Yep, which is fantastic. That does not cover the, if you would, the Hall Road side of the property, right? But the MOU has been difficult to get down on paper, and I'll just leave it at that. Okay?
So that's what we want.
Well, you guys agreed to handle your side of the street. Then we get the other people on board. DOT got the other side of the Hall Road.
Massport.
Massport.
And they've already agreed. That's the whole point.
Get them on the table. You know,
No, they're there. That's the problem. It's just, this has been the holdup. They would not want to come to yes for some reason. I guess it's like kryptonite, green space.
You know who owns Cypher Street now? Right? We get Massport on the hook. And we get 2 out of 3 anyways.
But the Hall Road is the MCCA's. There's no doubt about that. And the Fort Point community has been staring at the trucks.
No, they got to, you know, like you said, they're looking at the SM, the trucks all day, so they got to take.
I guess maybe, Tom, would it make sense to have a plan for Cypher Street and a process commitment? Because I mean, there's going to be something we can do. Hopefully, they can do in the immediate on that on the Hall Road. But in terms of an investment in a long-term plan. But to be honest with you, I'd like to see all of it. But I'll leave that up to the Fort Point community leaders about whether or not they're comfortable moving forward with Cypher Street, with just Cypher Street, fully planned out. Or if I don't know how long it would take to do something for the Hall Road, because it's the same from one stretch to the other.
Yeah, we're talking about the encompass. We're going to encompass the whole.
Got it now.
Now there's a lot of trash on that road too.
Yeah, you need maintenance.
Construction equipment.
It only enhances the property.
I think one picture, but that's a little better.
Come down the hall and look to the left, all you see is the loading dock.
I'll take a picture of it at night and send you that picture.
So the beautification project, and they got the budget, we don't use it,
So we need
How about we do a walkthrough? How about the next item is a walkthrough around this? So we're not dealing with this thing, get your golf carts or whatever you have going on there, so we can see it. It's not at a distance. Geez, is it really that bad? I'd like everybody at MCC to be staring at how bad that is and ask them if they would accept that in their neighborhood. And you'd all say no. So we want to see all that. I invite the executive director down. We'll take a look at Saturn and ask us if we would like to live on Saturn. You're going to say no. And hopefully that motivates the energy to think about what we can do. We don't want to understand what we can't do. What can we do? I'm glad there's an LSP here who can guide us on what we can and can't do. And she was great with Massport and has been great here. I'm glad she was able to make it tonight. I know that was something we weren't so sure. And I just think we can't go forward with anything at the convention center any forward without this being addressed. Not just Cypher Street, but this long-term problem that we've had on the Hall Road. So I hope we can schedule a meeting in the next couple of weeks.
Well, basically, if I may speak for myself, but St. Vincent's, we want a plan in place before you go forward with this. We need a written plan, a memorandum of agreement or understanding between Mass Convention Center Authority and Cypher Street and the neighborhood as a whole. Yeah, with Senator Collins.
Would anybody object to doing a roam around in vehicles to see with our own eyes, not like it's at a distance, sending videos or sending photos. We want to see what Fort Point's seeing. We want to see what the lower end's seeing. See what D Street's seeing. And but we're not going to bring the kids to the gargoyles now.
I can do that. Monday's a holiday.
So let's try to schedule that before the next public meeting when you hopefully have a plan. Because I don't think it's going to register with everybody until they see, you zip down the street, it's kind of blurry unless you're staring at it from Fort Point, and it's a public disgrace right now.
And that's, I
Happy to get on call tomorrow morning if you guys want, right? To try to work through the MOU.
Yeah,
And then
I could do a call too.
Ellie
Yeah,
can do a call.
I can do a call.
We'll get on the call, try to figure this out. I believe a planting plan exists already, right? I think there's a draft that's been running around, put together by Massport did, right? So I don't envision this is a lot of work to do. It's just getting everybody to agree with the words that are down on paper, right? I think it's really as simple as that.
A little more than that. I think we're talking about large areas. You know what I mean? It's talking about East Street, Cypher Street, Hall Road. I think one phone call is going to cover that area, and I think it's a walkthrough.
Well, it's probably come in pieces. I mean, once,
The walkthrough.
Ride around, I'd say would be a good idea.
Yeah, or if we could take the bike route.
It's a great vantage point for Tommy Chance Street Garage. That's what we did with Massport. We took them upstairs to the top floor and said, okay, this is what we see. We see a new site. So that would be an option in addition to everywhere.
Could we hang around for a few minutes after the meeting to figure out a time that's convenient to do a call tomorrow? Thank you. Rest assured, the concerns about the statute have been heard. Loud and clear.
Good?
I think so. I was going to say, if
I
there's
didn't
no
know
other
if we were
questions,
finished.
we can...
I don't want to walk out.
Okay.
Thank you. Senator, are you all finished? Are you set?
I'm done. Thank you.
All right, everybody, I guess then we'll wrap it up for tonight. We do have some talking to do, some deliverables to discuss. And what we'll do is we'll come up with a future date and we'll come back.
Thank you.
Sounds good. Thank you very much.
So this is, I don't have to get one. They can do it tonight.